Hello, welcome to Kitchen Basics 101, where I teach you the bare bone basics as if you have never cooked a day in your life from the perspective of a mom. Today, we're going to see the rare occasion of me using an onion because I'm going to make a bolognese and I'm going to grind the onion up really small so I can't taste it because I don't like onion. So a traditional bolognese would start with a mirepoix, which is onion, celery, and carrot. I'm just going to use onion and carrot because the only thing I hate worse than onion is celery. But if you're making this at home, what I want you to do is use onion, carrot, and celery. That is a Italian mirepoix. That's what's traditional. Okay? Like I said, I don't work with onion a lot. It's not my favorite thing. So onion content is limited. We're going to do the onion in the food processor. You actually don't need to dice it up, but I imagine that I don't do a lot of dicing content here, so I'm going to show you. I'm just going to make a little slice here, and that's just to give me a flat surface. And I left this intact to hold the onion together, okay? So I'm just going to put a couple of slices this way. Yeah. And then I'm going to do a couple this way, because we're just going to do a rough dice, right? She is fresh to death here. So the point of making this hatch pattern is, as you can see now, it's sort of like pre-diced, if that makes any sense. And then I'm just going to go top to bottom like that. Yeah? Am I making any sense here? Now, this is a lot easier to do if you half the onion. So maybe I should have started by halving it. But I just find that this is a quick, easy way to get a nice fine dice, which I'm always looking for. A nice fine dice. Okay? Little dice. Oh, I missed a spot. It's all right if you miss a spot. Just dice that up if you miss a spot, right? This adorable little mini food processor that I'm gonna pop the onions in here. Equalish part carrot. I already peeled these carrots. Just cutting the ends off, because the ends are usually dry. So we'll cut those off. And like I said, this is going in the food processor, so it doesn't have to be in any way, shape, or form perfect in size. Just going to chunk them up to give the food processor help, especially since she's a little baby one. I might be overloading her right now, but we'll see. On the bigger ones, maybe break it down a little more. Dutch oven out, and it's getting hot, and I'm going to add to it a pound of ground beef, going in. Putting in a pound of this pork sausage, mild Italian pork sausage, is instead of ground pork, because this is already seasoned up with fennel and rosemary and salt and garlic and spices. So it's just a great, way to get the flavor in there. So that's a pound of ground beef and a pound of mild Italian pork sausage. In between, we're always washing our hands. And we're just going to break that up and brown it off. Let me show you. I believe in layering of flavors. So I'm going to put just a little bit of salt, not a lot, and a little bit of pepper into the meat while I'm browning it, so that the meat gets flavor in it before we even start. The meat is all browned up, so now we're going to put those veggies in. The veg that I pulverized is now going to go in on top of that meat. And we're going to get a little translucent cook on that. Veg is in. We're going to toss that around and let this cook for a couple of minutes. Now we're going to add a squirt of tomato paste. Well, maybe like half a can's worth if you're using a can. About that much. Then you're going to put some wine in, just a little bit. I prefer red, but you can use white. Just a glug. Let that wine cook out all that alcohol disappear for a minute or two. And next we're gonna do beef stock. Let's say you wanted this to be a more tomato heavy sauce. You want this to be more like a meat tomato sauce. At this point, you would add crushed tomatoes. But Bolognese is traditionally a meat heavy sauce, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna add beef stock here. I already added tomato paste. So again, if you want this to be tomato forward, a big can of crushed tomatoes or tomato sauce, two-ish cups here would be the move. But I'm going to put beef stock. I don't have any beef stock, but I always have better than bouillon, which is better, honestly. So I'm gonna put like 2 teaspoons of that in here. And then I'm gonna add 2 cups of water. And I'm gonna add my 2 cups of water. So essentially I just made beef broth, but just already in the pot, okay? So we're gonna just give that a stir. I'll show you what it looks like. This sauce is simple. I mean, you saw it wasn't difficult, but it is a labor of love, okay? We have to let this cook for a couple hours on the stove, simmer away, right? So you might have to add more liquid. It'll be to your liking. You can always add water or beef stock, but we're gonna let it go. Oh, let me put a Parmesan rind in. So you know the rind that comes off the Parmigiano Reggiano? If you have one lying around, nestle it in here just for extra flavor. Oh, that's hot. And we can dig it out later, but it's gonna just melt and add like a savory, I don't know how to describe it, just a delicious extra layer of flavor to this. If you don't have it, you don't need it, okay? It's no big deal. Okay, cover and turn down to medium low and let this crank away for like 2 hours on the stove. Okay, she's cooled down. She cooked for 3 hours. I went and did other stuff. Now I'm gonna fish out this rind and throw it out. My favorite pasta with this is pappardelle, but I don't have any, so I'm gonna make some spaghetti and show you how I put it together. Don't salt the water until it comes to a boil. This is almost there, not quite yet. Okay, now she's dancing. So when I say boil, this is what I'm looking for. They call this rolling because the bubbles are rolling from the bottom to the top. Now we're gonna salt with our heart. You want it to be, you know, like the Mediterranean. Cloud of salt. Just gonna put like half the box in here because it's really just a portion for myself. I'm going to cook it al dente, so I'm going to take it out a minute or two before it's done because I'm going to be transferring it into this pan with the sauce. Okay, I put a couple scoops of the sauce in here and I'm going to transfer the pasta in here when it's ready. So I'm going to get this pre-warmed up. Look at her rip rolling away. We're taking the pasta directly from the pot with the drippy pasta water right into the sauce because you want to keep this pasta water. So we're not draining it. We're just putting it directly over here. Okay, now we're going to give it a toss in the sauce. And if we need to, we can add a little bit of the pasta water in here. But first, let's toss. Okay, we're going to put just a little bit, like a half a ladle full of pasta water because the pasta water has the starch in it. And it's just going to help tighten up our sauce here, okay? I know you're thinking it's going to make it thinner, but it's not. It's going to make it thicker.